What is up, everybody? Welcome to the first double-digit episode of the Teardrop Pod, episode 10. Welcome in. My name is Chris. I'm one of your hosts, and I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Andrew. How's it going on this rainy day, Mr. Andrew?
It's going great. Yeah, it's been kind of a cruddy day around here for sure. But
double
digits.
Yeah, we did it.
We made it to the big 1-0, dude.
They said it couldn't be done.
Crazy.
And we laughed. We said, no, we'll at least make it to that. And here we are. We sure did. I'm proud of us. No, I still very much enjoy this. I hope you do too. And many more to come, I'm sure. So
yeah, most definitely.
We got a fun little video game adaptation themed episode here. I am fresh off of my screening of Until Dawn, the movie based on, it feels wrong to even say that, because it's not an adaptation, of the same name as the video game, Until Dawn. That's what it is.
Oh, no.
So I have just seen that, and Andrew has a secret show that he wants to talk about. I don't even know what this is, so it could be video game related, could totally ruin our theme and everything about it. We'll see. I'm excited regardless, because he did tell me I would probably have things to say about it as well. So that is exciting. He might touch a little bit more on your Claire Obscure adventures, right?
Yep, definitely. Made it a little bit further in that.
Yep. We have mostly caught up on Last of Us. We will be on the show. We've talked about episodes 1 and 2. Today we'll be talking about 3 and 4. 5 premiered last night as of this recording, so we just kind of been taking them 2 at a time, so that makes sense to keep that up. And then we'll wrap up today with a tier list of video game adaptations. So I hope you're ready for that, because the fun thing is, as you may have noticed with some of our tier list, together Andrew and I have not seen a ton of them, but that means this episode won't be 5 hours long like some of our other ones, and it gives us something that we can go back to and update as we go. But we have enough to definitely have lots to talk about, I think. So
yeah, definitely. Dude, I went back and I looked to see how long that first episode was the other day. Would you believe me if I told you it was like 4.5 hours?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's like 4 hours or something. Yeah.
It was so ridiculous. I was so tired by the end of that, dude.
Dude, I remember you were like, I saw it. So my favorite part of it is you could look out the windows in our back, like the back of our cameras, and see it go from light to dark. It was so long. We ended the day together. That was funny, dude.
I remember we got off the Discord call and it said, your Discord call has ended 10 hours and something minutes. I was like, oh my God.
That's insane, bro. But
how far we've come.
Last week was like less than an hour and a half, wasn't it? Or like right at an hour and a half.
Yeah, it was like an hour and 20, I think. So yeah, I think we figured it out a little bit.
We'll see.
At least if we know that we're on a time crunch.
We'll give it our all. I'm looking at the clock right now. I know we don't have time today either, so I will be as concise as can be, which means jumping right into topic number 1, which is the Until Dawn movie. So for those who don't know, as I very poorly explained earlier, Until Dawn is a video game. It came out, I want to say, in like 2013. It was on the PlayStation 4, relatively early on in the PlayStation 4 cycle. I think that's right. Until Dawn release date. Let's see the game. 2015. Okay. But here's the thing.
That's still really early. Damn.
It's even older than that, technically, in the sense that it was originally planned to be a PlayStation Move game, I think for the PS3. And then they ended up changing it into just a regular PS4 game. Yeah. This game went through a ton of changes and adaptations. And well, not this is the first adaptation, but, changed a lot from its inception to what we finally saw. And it became, I think, a real kind of cult classic in a way that, people don't talk about it as being like one of PlayStation's best-selling franchises or whatever, but had some big stars like Rami Malek and Hayden Panettiere in it. And it was one of those games where it's narrative focused, and so everything you do is choice based and quick time event based on whether you're going to be able to get out of it. And by the end of the night, you could have essentially 0 surviving characters, or you could have everyone surviving, depending on how you respond with your quick time events and what choices you make. And I played this game a ton of times. It's so fun to play with people who aren't even really into games because it's so cinematic. It's just an easy watch and everyone, freaks out. And it was very B movie in a way that was endearing, I think, both because we hadn't had a ton of these games styled like this before, and it felt self-aware. Like, it felt like genuinely spooky and scary at times, but also a little goofy in some of its character portrayals and things like that. Have you played Until Dawn?
I remember starting it like forever ago, and I made it up to a certain point. Like I'd maybe played like 2 hours of it.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, I don't know if this is for me, but I can see why it is for other people for sure.
I love these types of games, like the Heavy Rains and the Detroit Become Humans, and almost even the Life is Strange kind of games, where you're basing the progress is made based off of what decisions you make and things like that. And fast forward to today, as of a couple weeks ago, they released this movie of the same name, but the premise is pretty different. So in the game, you play as these, teenagers, young adults, whatever, who go to this cabin in this mountain, and they have to, they're going back for a reunion to remember one of their siblings who's passed away at a previous year's get together. And while they're up there, things kind of start to go crazy, and they are kind of getting picked off by this, multiple things. There are a lot of different ways they can meet their demise. But the movie is based off of completely different characters, completely different area. And the premise is they end up at this welcome center for this like abandoned town, and they find this hourglass on the wall that after I'm trying to avoid spoilers here. Essentially, this one is much more supernatural, and that they realize that they will, if they die, they will come back and the hourglass will reset. And so they ultimately realize that the goal is to survive until dawn. And various different situations will play out as the nights progress, and they are trying to figure out how they can survive. So let's just get right into it, right? This movie is bad. This movie is.
I was waiting for that. Okay,
I've kept you waiting long enough. This movie is not good. The reviews for it weren't very good, so I kind of went in with tailored expectations. But we live in a time where video game adaptations are generally better than they used to be, and I do really like this game. That's why I took the time to talk about it at the beginning here. And so, knowing that the game was a little, cheesy, cornball-y in some ways, I was like, well, maybe I can find something to enjoy about it. And even if it isn't, fantastic, I could appreciate going through the ride again, not realizing, I guess, before I went in how different it would be from the game. And so, no spoilers in case for whatever reason you do decide you want to go see this. At our theater, I was telling you earlier, this movie's only been out like 2 weeks or something, I think, maybe 3, and they were down to 2 showings already. So it's not long for this world.
That's crazy.
So I imagine if people see it at this point, it will probably on a streaming service somewhere down the line. And it could be fun. I asked Mare what she thought about it, and she said it was fine / kind of fun. She seemed like she was more in like the 3 out of 5 stars range, maybe. She watches a lot of bad horror, so she has a much higher tolerance for this. Was one of the reasons we went, because I was like, well, I want to go because it's Until Dawn and I really like that game, and she wants to go because she watched me play Until Dawn and she liked it, and because she just likes horror anyway, and we both like going to the movies. But this is one that I would have been just as fine waiting until it was at home for $2 or something like that. It's just not that
does
good.
any of the casts like carry over, or is it like all completely new casts? Like,
it's all new cast. You'll see very early on. This I don't consider to be a spoiler. There is. So, do you remember in the game the kind of narrator guy who's at the desk?
Yeah.
So
the dude from Prison Break.
Yes, he is an actor in this movie. And you see him very early on.
Sick.
So there's that kind of connective tissue. But they And there are elements that are the same from the game. I won't spoil, I guess. Again, I'm being so sensitive to spoilers. Like, people aren't going to care. I should just honestly say, but I'm trying to be respectful in case there is one person.
Chris, I think you were one of 100 people.
Yes.
Like, maybe in our own town who has seen this movie.
There'll be a renaissance. I know it. Okay. It's going to happen. So I'm just trying to protect those people. But there are elements from the game. It's not like completely unrecognizable. But it is a completely different story, and there's even a tease really that tries to imply that there's going to be more connection at the end that makes no sense to me when you consider some other things that happen. It almost feels like they're just being sloppy, and I don't know if they thought this was going to be bigger than it was, and so it was a tease to be like, you know, we got you in the door calling this Until Dawn, and we know it's not anything like the game, but hey, the sequel might be a little bit closer than you think. And it's like, okay, well, exactly, that's not going to happen. So that just felt like really bad fan service. And a lot of the connections do feel more fan servicey. I mean, what this movie, I think, has going for it in the sense is that they really play with basically every horror trope you can think of. In the way that like every night there's generally a different threat to them, right? And so you get some found footage, you get some creepy dolls, you get some mythical creatures. You know, it's like they're really playing.
It's just like a Jackson Pollock of like horror.
It is literally, they just threw everything at the wall, and I guess that's supposed to be an homage, but for me, it just made it to where nothing really stuck. Like if you're going to stick with the throw everything at the wall analogy, some of them were just ridiculous. Like I was never scared other than for the fact that there was going to be a jump scare. Like not that I was actually feeling any sense of dread or tension. And I didn't really care about the characters, which they really feel like they try to make you care, and it just doesn't work. In my opinion, it just doesn't work overall. In my opinion, it's a 2 out of 5 stars for me.
Ooh, that stings.
But I mean, like I said, Mare said she thought it was somewhere between like more around fine. So I didn't ask her like a star rating. I could see her being more like a 3 out of 5. And I don't think. I mean, horror is a genre that's kind of notorious for being bad, I guess. I mean, I do think that that's a genre that has a pretty lower ceiling as far as what you expect from it. And so I think there could be an audience for it. And I think that I could see an argument for it being fine. It wasn't so poorly made that I was like in pain. I was just kind of bored is really what I took away from it. Like I found myself, I'm not a monster who has my phone out during the theater, but I did have my watch on, and I was like pretty regularly checking my watch, like, all right, how much longer do we have on this? Which is not a good sign. And there's some other things that if I wanted to be more spoilery, I could get into specifically why I didn't like it. So if you're one of 2 people who have seen this movie and for you it's a 5 out of 5, and you really want me to debate with you the parts that I didn't like, you know, just comment on this episode and I'll reach out to you directly. We can have a conversation. But I don't think it's again, unfortunately, I don't think it really merits that kind of conversation. It's just, if you are a fan of horror and this comes to a streaming service one day and you see it pass by and it's a rainy day like it was today and you don't have anything else you'd rather see, it's not terrible. Especially like if you are like, I don't know, you gonna play something on your Steam Deck or your Portal at the same time, you know, it's kind of that level of mediocrity, which I hate saying about art. Like I know people put their actors and cast members and people who did work to make this happen. I don't mean to sound disparaging, but for me, it was just kind of boring. And in some ways we've talked about this, about the things that we are really passionate about. I would rather like feel something really strongly than not feel anything. I feel like not feeling anything is one of the worst outcomes you can get. And that's kind of how I feel about this. But I was thinking in my head, I was like,
dang,
when I'm looking at my end of the year reviews, will this or Captain America Brave New World be at the bottom? And I was like,
No.
well, I like actually get angry when I think about Brave New World, and this I'm just kind of like ambivalent about. So I don't know. That'll be a fun competition
That's so bad
in my mind about which is worse.
so
Something that
bad.
you know is arguably has more redeeming qualities about it. The few things that are good about Brave New World are probably better than the few things that I like about Until Dawn, but also the things that are bad in Brave New World are so bad that they actually make me upset. Which I just said, hey, make me feel something, but like that's a little too meta, you know.
But the opposite.
Yeah,
but the opposite,
exactly.
please.
Like make me upset like I'm sad, not make me upset like I can see how soulless this is. So anyway, yeah, that's the longest anyone will ever talk about this movie. So apologize, but I felt like as someone who loves adaptations, or I shouldn't say adaptations, who love the game, I wanted to give it a shot. But I don't even think if you're a fan of the game, that is necessarily a reason to go see this movie. I don't think that it has enough connective tissue there to be for fans of the game. It's really more for just fans of horror in general. Is the one audience I would say might want to still check this out.
Dang.
So.
That's a bummer.
I will say,
that's honestly a bummer. I was kind of looking forward to it just because I hadn't played the game and I knew that I probably wasn't going to play the game. So I'd go see them. You know, if they somehow like actually got all of the cast and like somehow made it less gamey and you know just followed like a normal storyline and went about it, like I would probably go see it. But with the description that you just gave me of this movie, like there's absolutely no chance.
They didn't need to call it Until Dawn. Like Sony could have just said, okay, we have this concept for a horror movie, taken out the few elements that are the same from the game, and then just come up with an original horror movie. And like, I don't know if they did Until Dawn as a marketing thing to think that, okay, well, that will help
100%
because this is a somewhat established IP. But you look at how it's done, and clearly that's not the case. And now you've also squandered the potential for an actually good adaptation. So it's like, well, now you've double shot yourself in the foot. So I think it's actually a worse outcome, unfortunately, than if they had just done their own thing. But I don't know, man. If you gave this to like a Blumhouse or something like that, who, you know, specializes in these sort of lower, I have no idea what the budget was for this movie. I'm sure they lost money on it. There's no way they didn't with how poorly it's done at the box office, but like maybe they could have lost less and or found more of the audience that would appreciate it if they had just given it a little bit more care. But
15 million.
15 million is the budget or the box office?
Yeah, that's the budget.
Okay, well then,
yeah, box
it
office
won't,
44
it still
right
won't
now.
break.
That's crazy.
What's the box office right now?
44 million.
I swear the last couple of weeks I've seen it, it like wasn't even the top like 8. It's made 44 million.
I'm
not doubting you. I just am in genuine shock because I feel like I have not heard anyone talk about this or
the AI things. Yeah. Wikipedia says 44.3 million.
That is shocking. Well, maybe they'll at least break even then, I guess. Shocking. But wow.
Yeah, one day ago.
I can't even get over that. That
is pretty wild.
Good for them, I guess. It's
yeah.
I still don't think they will consider that a success. But at least it won't bankrupt. I mean, it was never going to bankrupt them. But if we get a sequel to this movie, I will eat my shoe on camera. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have to.
We'll have an entire episode about why you should not go see Until Dawn 2.
No. Then we'll go the opposite route. You'll have to watch it, and we'll have a complete spoiler breakdown. We'll go against everything I just said and say, no, this warrants the conversation because this is PlayStation's biggest franchise. I will say, best part of this movie, in the opening crawl, you get to see the PlayStation, the logo, and they have like they do for the games where you get to see all the different properties kind of flash before the PlayStation logo. I got to see my boy Astrobot on the big screen. So
what?
Yep, Astrobot's in the PlayStation crawl now. So
that's actually kind of sick.
I looked over at Mary. I said, "That's my boy. That's my boy." And then I felt nothing for the next 2 hours. So,
that's so sad, dude.
Yep, but. That's Until Dawn. What do you have to discuss this week, Mr. Andrew?
Quick little update on the Claire Obscure Expedition 33 journey. This soundtrack's so good.
Did you see it's like in the Billboard
it's so
Top
good.
100? Like it's been streamed
Yes.
so much, and like at least 10% of that is me. It's I have it on nonstop, dude. It's so good.
Dude, this game has been like killing it. Like, I think the last milestone that they shared was like 2 million, but they I think they said on in some article I read it, they were like, dude, this game like could sell 10 million. Like if like the word of mouth keeps going like it does, like this could easily climb to be one of the better sold games of the year.
Yeah.
And for a turn-based RPG is like, those are insane numbers.
For a new IP
ever reaches that
from a studio of that size, I mean, I'm hopeful that they consider this to be a success. I mean, I think you look at someone like Square, who's no matter how much Rebirth or remake sell, it'll always be considered a failure by their standards. I'm hopeful that the standards for this were a little bit more reasonable, and that this is, because that's also not accounting, you know, how many people played it through Game Pass like I did. Right. So not that they directly see revenue from that, but you know, that's all helping them in the future, if depending on what they want to do going forward with this. But yeah, what's your update?
Yeah, definitely. No, yeah, really the only update is I finished Act 1. I now have all of the party members according to my PlayStation trophy that popped up whenever I got my latest party member. No spoilers, of course, but yeah, the end of the first act is kind of crazy.
Insane.
I had to take a day to to process what I had just seen.
Yeah.
I started up The Last of Us remake in the meantime to just see how it was, because watching the show kind of got me in the mood to play it again.
Are you playing the first one or the second one?
The first one.
Okay.
The first one. I haven't played the first one in like 10 years.
Wow.
So I was like, let me just boot this up and see how it is. And I mean, it plays good.
I still think it's a masterpiece.
I'm trying to get myself back into like the mind frame of playing like a big AAA game. I haven't played one in so long. Like I've been playing so many like Nintendo games over the past, you know, however long, and now Expedition 33. It's like I haven't really touched something of that caliber maybe since Rebirth.
Wow. Yeah.
I think. Yeah, probably. So I gotta kind of like psych myself up for it a little bit, but yeah, that's been good so far. For Expedition 33 though, I do think that at some point we need to do like a spoiler cast. Once I like finish it, like
absolutely,
I want to talk about this game at length.
Yeah, I think that would be
so good,
really fun.
man.
And I know a lot of the people we know in real life have played the game too. So not to break the fourth wall here, but you know, some folks who I'm pretty confident listen to this show hopefully would appreciate that as well. So no, I would love to talk about it. I'm doing in-game content right now. I've definitely slowed off since I beat it, but there's a lot to do. And even now, between trying to make my own builds and also looking some things up finally that I didn't look anything up until I beat the game, and I only just started to look at some stuff because resources in this game are finite and you can't make manual saves. So I was like really worried I was gonna
invest in it. That's one thing that I'm not too big.
Yeah, I really wish they would add that, man. For an RPG, like any RPG, really, give me manual saves, please, because there's such long journeys. If you make one mistake, it's like you can screw yourself up so bad. I'm the type of person who in Persona 5 Royal, when you get 16 save slots, I will literally go through all 16. I'll do one and the next and the next, and then just reset once I reach the bottom. So more of that, please.
I do the same thing. I normally set up like a save point like before I know I'm about to fight a big boss, so that if I want to go back and fight that boss, I can just load up that save point and then just fight it real quick and then dip back out. Yeah. But
real quick, what do you think of the last party member? The one that you got without
interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I love their mechanic,
I was not expecting it.
I think that's such a fun thing. So it's such a fun thing. I still have not maximized it even now having beaten the game. There are still some things I'm missing for them. That's fun to know.
Like so cool. I love how every party member, like we kind of said this before, has their own gimmick and their own like cool thing about them. They're not just, they're not just a stat, like a giant stat stick that you just, beef up whichever way you want. Like they actually have things that make them unique and cool and different. And that's probably the thing that I'm most up on this entire game about, is how they deal with you having so many party members.
Well, the synergy with their own kits, as well as the synergy between the party members, and how customizable that is, dude. There are just so many toys they give you to play with, man. It's crazy. And that's like one thing I found when I was looking at builds, was like every website had a different opinion on what they thought the best build was. And I was looking at them, I was like, I don't know if I agree with any of you. You know, it's like, I think that's a testament to how customizable it is, that like there are a lot of different ways that could be totally viable. And I think it's designed intentionally that way. It is an example of really good design. So
yeah, for sure. I have also run into a couple game breaking bugs.
Oh really?
Just a little bit. Yeah. There was some big boss enemy in the overworld that I went to go fight. And as soon as I went to hop off Eskia just like flies up and away like so fast, and the game thinks that I'm still on Eskia. So I'm literally like frozen here. I can pause the game and I can go back out, but it's still frozen where I was originally. But Eskia, I open up like the map, and it says that I'm all the way at the top of the map.
That's crazy. I didn't have anything like that. Were you able to just... you can't make your own saves, but I know PlayStation has cloud saves, and I also know that the game has 3 auto saves that it does on its own. Were you able to just reload one of those? Or...
Well, yeah. So what I did from there was like, okay, well, maybe I can go to camp.
Oh, okay.
So I pressed down and then I went to camp, and I was like, dude, what if this just like teleports me to the top of the map? What if I just found like a crazy speed run like strat? And then I exited back out of camp, and then it just put me at the very beginning of the entire world. I had to walk all the way back to where I was.
That's so annoying.
Which is so far away.
Yeah, it's so slow
It
getting
took me
around.
forever. But yeah, that's really the only thing that I found so far. Oh, there was another one where like all of the color palettes got like really, really like mute. Like almost the entire game was in black and white for a while. I had to like quit out of the game and go back in, and then
not like it is in the cutscenes that it's meant to be, right?
right.
Did the aspect
just
ratio
like the
also change
overworld.
like it does whenever you see those cutscenes? You just unlock the cinematic mode that we didn't know about.
Whoa, that would be crazy.
That'd be cool.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all that I've got for Expedition 33. I'll probably, the next update will probably be whenever I finish it, because I feel like I'm probably about halfway through it. I just got the 5th party member, or the last party member. So
that's yeah, I'd say that's
I might be right around halfway or a little less than halfway, I would say.
Yeah. I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. So I still got a good bit to go. I'm exploring like crazy and doing every single side thing that I possibly can. I just got last thing, sorry. I just played not getting over it. What's the what's the
only up
Only
yeah,
Up,
the platforming.
Yeah. I just played Only Up in Claire Obscure, and it was something that happened, dude, for sure.
It was so funny. It didn't take me that long, but
it didn't take me that long either. They made it pretty easy.
Yeah, I appreciated that, because I think they could have, and that would not have been fun. But
it's such a cool, I found so many little Easter eggs like that, where it's like, there's so many different references to different games.
Speaking of Easter eggs, there's one that you and I especially, I think, would appreciate. Did you find the graveyard?
The graveyard. No.
Okay.
Maybe not.
Okay.
I don't think so.
There's an area. It's one of those areas that's like when you walk in, it's like not an actual zone that you can, explore. It's one of the almost like 2D ones, and you just get like a little item there. But the area itself is definitely a reference to something. So let me know when you find that.
Okay. I think I might know what you're alluding to.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye out. I'll keep an eye out for sure.
Very cool. So what's the secret show that... Oh, sorry. Did you have something else you wanted to say?
Oh, no. That was it. Yeah. On to the secret show. It's not really like that big of a deal.
No, it's going to be. But I'm going to make it one now, whether it is or not.
I was about to say, I think it might excite you and several others. Me and Kayla have finished season 1 of Severance. Brother. That I
Dude, isn't it crazy?
that freaking show is unreal, man.
It's
I
fantastic.
don't binge watch shows, right? I don't binge shows. I hate sitting down for hours and like just watching something. Like I like to watch it a little bit at a time. Last night, me and Kayla sat down and we watched 5 episodes of this show
Wow,
in one sitting.
that's crazy. When you told me that you had a show, I was like, you haven't even mentioned this. Like, it's not like we talk all the time or anything, but I was like, I don't know what he could be talking about, because it's like I didn't even know you were in the middle of anything else, much less like started anything. But you finished this. You're ready to go on season 2, and you don't have to wait like 3 years like some people did.
I know. That's why we're so scared to start season 2, because we finished season 1 and it's like, dude, if this ends like a similar way, if season 2 ends a similar way, like I don't want to wait 3 years.
I mean, I won't spoil anything. Do you want me to tell you if it ends similarly or not?
No.
Okay.
I don't want to know anything.
Okay. I won't say anything.
But,
season 2 is fantastic as well.
yeah,
but,
we started the first episode of season 2. That's where we ended last night.
Dude, isn't the last episode of season 1 insane? Isn't it just?
Oh my god, dude. Like, you want to talk about like just tension? Like the whole time, I'm so tense, and like it's so like nerve wracking. Even just like it's more like the atmosphere of the show itself, like the music. That is such a big like mood setter for the show, and just how uncomfortable everything is. Like it's a show that has made me feel uncomfortable almost the entire time, but like in a really, really good way.
Can you believe that it is directed by Ben Stiller?
I'd see it every time an episode ends, and I'm like, dude, there's no way freaking Zoolander did this, bro. There's no way.
Yeah, it's insane. It just, and I feel like you hear that about comedians so often, that it's like when you give them dramatic roles or dramatic material to work with, they're some of the best, just because like to be a comedian, you have to be so in touch with emotions and things.
Yeah.
But kudos to him and the whole team.
That's a big thing. Like Jim Carrey, very famous comedian. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is like it's probably my favorite movie of all time. Like, and he's amazing in it. And then he's in all these goofy roles.
Yeah.
But
who's your favorite character so far? I gotta know.
It's rough, dude. I kind of like the brother-in-law. I forget his name.
Oh, Doug, I think, or something. I can't remember. For sure.
Whatever his name is.
That's wild,
so silly, dude. Do you want to help me hang the kelp? I'm like, okay, dude.
Oh my gosh.
But no, in terms of like the Office, like definitely Irving. I love Irving so much. Him and his relationship with oh god, I'm blanking.
Bert.
I know the actor's name. Bert. Yes.
Christopher Walken himself.
Christopher Walken. So good. And what happens at the end of that episode, or the finale of season 1, it's like the most like heartbroken I've felt in so long. It's just so sad. Yeah, definitely Irving. Who is your favorite character?
Mr. Milkshake might be my favorite character.
He's so cool. Like cool in a bad way.
Yes, I just think that he plays that role so spectacularly. Like there's more depth to that character than he has any right to have, and also is just so unique. I really, really like him, and I so much that I looked him up afterwards. I was like, what else has he been in? And like basically nothing. He's in the upcoming Mission Impossible movie, but if you look at his IMDb, there's there's very little on there. And so I'm hoping this gives him an opportunity to kind of step into the limelight a little bit more, because I would love to see him in more roles, because I just think he is so good. But I mean, I love them all. I do. Irving is also definitely probably my favorite of the main cast, like of the core 4, I guess I should say. But they're all fantastic. I mean, everything with Helly and her development throughout is just so satisfying.
You want to talk about the gasp of me and Kayla in that last episode when
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, it was.
We just looked at each other like, "Are you freaking for real?" What is going on?
Yeah, I'm intentionally trying to make sure I don't say anything too crazy because obviously I've seen all of season 2 as well, but we'll have to talk more. And that's something else I would also be happy to do a spoiler cast on if you're down, because there's so much to break down with that show. I mean, it's a show that trusts its audience to be smart and follow along. It does not hold your hand.
Yeah, for sure. There are definitely some points where like me and Kayla looked at each other and it's like, what's going on? Like this show is weird.
It is.
Like it's a weird show. It's super odd.
But here's the thing, right?
Like it's the best kind of odd.
I like weird stuff, but I do have a limit. I feel like if things reach a certain point where I feel like they're being obtuse for the sake of being obtuse, or if it's kind of pretentious, sometimes it feels like things are being weird. Maybe it really was just from a place of this really abstract idea an artist had. But for me, you can go so far that you lose me, where I'm like, I don't see the connections, and or I don't feel like you've laid the groundwork for me to care enough to do the work to make these connections. And this walks that line kind of perfectly, where they intentionally leave you guessing about a ton of things. And I almost reached a point in season 2 where I was like, you've kind of been leading me on without any answers long enough that I am starting to not even lose interest, but just feel a little more detached. But it does come together for sure. But in general, I think the show walks a really good line of keeping you confused in ways that are still engaging and giving you enough answers that you have something to chew on while you wait for the next kind of solution, I guess.
Yeah. Like the cliffhangers and stuff, like definitely giving me something to chew on. Like every episode, I'm like, dude, what? Okay, we gotta watch the next one, right? And Kayla's like, I'm not gonna argue with you, and then we just throw it on real quick. Like, God, I haven't done that since we watched like The Good Place or something.
Oh
that
my
show,
gosh, what a
dude,
masterpiece!
You want to talk about?
I've been using that word
on a stick
too much lately. The word masterpiece, but like. I don't know, man. We're living in a good era for art and media. I feel like not that The Good Place is definitely modern, but we'll have to do like a sitcom tier list someday or something, and that show would be so high up for me. I think
that's probably my favorite sitcom that I've watched.
Yeah,
honestly,
no future spoilers, but yeah, I think it's probably
no future.
I think it's probably mine too. So. Get ready for it to be an S+ tier, everybody. Sorry, Office fans.
Story, though,
I love The Office,
good,
but
dude.
yeah, there's just so much heart in that show. Not to get too sidetracked or anything, but I'm so glad you're watching Severance, and I'm glad even more so that you're enjoying it.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I'll update once we get to the end of season 2. We'll run another update, maybe a little spoiler cast, because I want to talk about this show so bad with anyone. It's so good.
That's
so good.
That is why I wanted this podcast to exist, Andrew, so we could talk about these things. So this is perfect. I can't wait. I'm excited. And as a good little follow-up to that, something else that we want to talk about today, I think, is Last of Us Season 2, episodes 3 and 4. Am I right?
Yeah.
So these episodes are called, you know what? The titles don't matter. They're the ones.
They're called Season 2, Episode 3, Season 2, Episode 4. That's
exactly. They're government names. So episode 3 is the immediate aftermath of... Which, okay, full spoilers up to this point, right? And maybe we'll have a separate spoiler mark if we want to get into stuff for the games, for any future spoilers. But anything we talk about now will just be up to episode 4 in the show. Yeah, you actually probably, I don't know if you watched them more recently, because I usually watch them like the night of. Do you want to recap, give your initial thoughts and all that?
I'm trying to think. I don't remember a lot of episode 3. I remember episode 3 is Ellie and Dina, or Dina coming to Ellie like, hey, I've got the names of all these people. Like, let's go figure out what the hell is going on and try and see if we can get some people with us and, go kill them. Yeah. So they hold a council meeting to try to see if they can take 16 other people with them or something like that.
They something get like a little task force, because they don't realize how big the WLF is, but they know that it would be kind of dumb to, I don't know, just have two people go out into this world that we're living in right now to do something on their own.
Yeah.
There also
Which,
is like,
of course, everyone is like, no, we're not doing that. Like,
well, and
I understand wanting revenge, but
there's a 3-month time skip, isn't there? Like, isn't Ellie out for like a while at the end, which is not the case in the game. That was one relatively big difference, I think, because I think it does give them a little bit more time to play with what could have been going on during that period. But yeah, and the council, not in the game. There is no decision whether or not she should go. She doesn't wait for that. She talks to,
she just goes.
Tommy's wife, and at that point Tommy has already left, in the game to go off and do his own thing and kind of exact his own revenge. And so I think Maria is kind of begrudging to let Ellie go, but is aware that she's going to do it anyway. And so this way, at least there's a better chance for Tommy to return safely in her mind, maybe if Ellie goes to try and achieve the same goal. But the council was interesting because I think the TV show versions of these characters are starting to detract more and more from the video game versions of these characters, to the point that I've pretty well defined them as separate entities in my head. I can kind of compartmentalize them, and I think they're both generally good. Obviously, it's hard to not have an affinity for the first version of them that I saw, which was the video game ones. Do you feel similarly? Because I feel like this episode, especially with Ellie's speech at the council and her speech with the therapist when she first wakes up, are very, I mean, we've seen it, right? That this Ellie is a little bit more sassy, a little bit more talkative, but this was the episode that for me was like, okay, this is just a completely different character. And I don't think that they're doing a bad version of it for the most part in this story, but it is pretty drastically different in my opinion. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Like, at least Ellie, like, I think Dina is also a little bit different. This Dina seems a lot more like bubbly, like kind of goofy, which, like, I feel like Dina in Last of Us 2 also, it's been 5 years since I played that game. I don't really remember exactly how Dina was. I do remember her being one of my favorite characters in the game. And then she actually probably is just my favorite character in this. But
on the show,
I definitely do see some stark differences in the two Ellies and in the two Dinas, and Tommy I feel like is relatively the same.
Really? Because
maybe,
well, it's so hard to tell because he's on such a different path. He's so much more married to Jackson in the show. Which I already said this earlier. In my mind, this isn't a spoiler because it's like, it just doesn't happen in the show, right? And so in the show he doesn't leave, but in the game he does. And so it's not like I'm revealing something about his fate that will happen in the show, because I genuinely don't know because it's so different. But I do think that kind of has to fundamentally change his character in some ways, I think. Because his journey is so tied to his own revenge quest, I feel like. And so
yeah, that is true. Yeah, I didn't think about how differently they're going about like where Tommy's going to end up.
Yeah, I think he's just I mean, they've built up Jackson so much, which I think is an element I do like of the show, but there has to be changes to accommodate for that, and I think he could be potentially a casualty of that. His character, I could see his character being weaker because we spend less time with him, because we see less of his motivation. That is probably one of my biggest concerns about the show at this point, is his character. But they could change enough.
I think that we'll get to I think that we'll get to a point to where we get everybody in the theater. Like, I feel like that's, well, I guess that's kind of a spoiler, but like you know what I mean. Like,
yeah,
the core group that I'm trying not to say too much.
Yeah,
but you know what I'm talking about. I feel like we will get to that point.
Yeah.
Eventually, how we get there, I feel like is kind of what they're switching up just a little bit. But
yeah, I mean, episode 3 in general, they introduce the scars in that episode, which you don't see till way later in the game. And they really make them more sympathetic there because you just see the little girl and her dad getting kind of massacred. I mean, their whole group getting massacred.
Dude, Jesus.
And they do a really good job of establishing the scale of the WLF as well. And you also see Seth get this extra arc that he doesn't have in the game, where both he speaks up for Ellie in the council meeting, or speaks up for Joel, really, and then is the one main character who helps them sneak out and be the most prepared they can be for their journey. What did you think of that? Because I feel like the obvious take is like they're trying to make him a more sympathetic character because what he does in the game is literally just be a bigot and then just disappear. So it's like, he's just a one-note character. And so it's a really obvious take to be like, well, they're trying to make him more sympathetic. I don't know. Is it working for you? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely it works for me for sure. And I think that it's good to have characters in Jackson to care about that aren't just Tommy and Maria.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if something happened to, you know, Seth way down the line, then, you know, I might feel a little bit sad about it. But, you know, as far as we care about, you know, it's just Tommy and Maria that are in Jackson at the moment. So I can kind of see something like that being the case. But I feel like it works for me. Like I definitely feel some kind of, I don't even want to say like sympathy, but like, you know, a little bit of maybe you're not so bad. Maybe you're just a little drunk and kind of a bigot. Well, but and
you know, in the show, the world goes to crap in 2003, right? It's even earlier than it does in the game. And so they've talked a lot about this in the podcast they do, the companion podcast with the show, where they're like, the world was not, you know, at a place that it was even in 2013 or 11 or whatever it is when it happens in the game. You know, there's even less progress that's been made and those kind of things. And so it's believable that there would be people like that, especially if they are a little drunk at a party, that would, you know, make those kind of comments. Like, I don't think it's unbelievable. It doesn't like make it good or whatever, obviously, but it's like, it's like, I think it does, them giving him that speech and him helping her out, it does build on his character and make him an inherently more interesting character just by giving him more material. I don't think it worked to making me feel more sympathetic towards him, but maybe it helped me to feel like Jackson is a little bit more built up, which is, I think, one of the biggest strengths of this show versus the game. You know, Jackson feels much more important and much more like a real lived in city. And so that, I think, is part of that growth. So I don't know. It was weird because I didn't have a problem with it. And it has its pros and it has its cons, is kind of where I come down on it. But it was an interesting choice, I still felt, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And then in episode 4, we get...
Well, then going on from there real quick, just in episode 3, you get the scene at the graveyard.
Yes.
Right.
Which...
You get the scene at the graveyard.
What did you think about it being not in the city?
Weird, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I thought it was a little strange, the graveyard. I think Maria said the graveyard's like 10 miles out or something.
It's like, bro, that's a long way to carry all these people.
That's so far.
I don't know if it's just meant to make it more believable because you see so many more people die in that, like, you know, clicker or infected attack there. And so maybe they wouldn't all fit in the town. Maybe they're that worried about an infected being among them. And so they're trying to keep them further away.
True.
Again, you could logic your way through it, but that was just a really odd choice. Because
like 10 miles is a little, it's just a little
that's
much,
really far. And for them to specifically say it's that far out, it's like, what? Why? But I mean, I think that moment with Ellie is still really impactful and tender, where she goes to visit and you see her drop the coffee beans, which are obviously, you know, something that I don't think they really touched on very much in the show, but like is something that we know from the game that, you know, he's just not like some big part of his character, but like he was a coffee fiend, you know, he liked it. And so it's a nice little extra touch. I'm trying so hard to not be nitpicky about this show, man, because it's like different doesn't inherently mean bad. And I'm aware of that. But I thought it was interesting because in the game, you see Ellie as soon as she, you know, flashes back from the actual attack on Joel to visiting his grave and then going into his house and smelling his jacket and going through the whole grieving process there. And you can't have all see it at once. And so them splitting it up there, that specific moment where she's at the grave was still good in the show, but for me wasn't as impactful when it's right after and when it's within the context of everything. I mean, for me, the most impactful part of that whole process still is the jacket. I mean, I remember when I got to that part in the game and crying. I mean, I was like, just that's such a human touch that I never would have thought about. But like, I mean, they say that your sense of smell is like your strongest sense for memories and how it can take you back. And it's like, man, I remember still to this day, my grandma, who's been gone for, you know, over a decade, for so long since I was a kid. And like, I can still vaguely parse that scent in my mind when I think about it. It's like, if I were to go into her house and smell it again, I would immediately be taken back there. And so like that moment in particular was just so human to me, and it hit me so hard. And I think it's so well done here, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean though. Cause in the game, like you hit the graveyard like pretty early, right?
Yeah.
Or the grave at least, like pretty much immediately after.
Yeah, I think it's like literally you, like Ellie gets knocked out or
walk
whatever,
out of the house and then
like it flashes to Jackson and like pans down to the grave. I'm pretty sure it's like immediate.
Yeah,
because she doesn't spend 3 months in the hospital, so like she does in the show.
Oh, true.
So
yeah, that is true. Yeah, and then you get the scene with Ellie and Dina in the tent. Kind of
like rate my kiss, you know that, which they're dynamic. There's you haven't seen episode 5 yet, so no spoilers. We'll talk about that later. Up to episodes 3 and 4, especially, we'll talk even more when we get into episode 4. It's like their dynamic continues to be, I think, the best part of the show.
100%.
And that scene in the tent was another great example of them just being really, their chemistry just is so good, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's probably been my favorite scene, like in the show so far. Like
in the tent scene.
I love just listening to them talk. Like I could just listen to them talk about whatever, forever. They're just so much fun to watch, and yeah, like that chemistry is just so unreal. Like they're amazing together, and I just love Dina.
Yeah,
you know what can I say?
No, she's great. I think she's the best character in the show at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's funny you say that that's your favorite moment, because my favorite moment is the Take On Me scene in episode 4.
Oh yeah,
which
of course.
Also, such a fantastic part of the game. Totally optional in the game. You can completely miss it, but it's just,
I didn't know that until today.
Yeah, you can completely skip that part. Because it's when you get to the biggest open zone area in the game in Seattle, where you're going from building to building, and there's a lot of those buildings you can just skip, and that's one of them. And that's one of the most impactful scenes from the game for me. And so for them to recreate, and honestly, the biggest compliment I can give to this season of the show is that their set design is immaculate, man. Like seeing the TV station like ripped straight from the game, seeing the there's some stuff in episode 5 that I think is really, really evocative from the game. Then this scene where they're in the music store, and like the lighting you get, just like it is where, you know, you see it kind of shining behind Ellie towards Dina, and where they're sitting in that very specific patch of grass with her sitting on like the case or whatever. Dude, it's so note for note. And the subway scene is so good down there in episode 4. I mean, their set design is just so referential to the game. So what's the word I'm trying to think of? Not respectful, but respectful of the source material. I mean, it is really, really cool to see all that come to life.
dude, the subway scene, it's so terrifying because it's when Dina starts putting up the fingers, she's like 1, 2, 4, 5. Oh god. Oh, okay. I don't have enough fingers.
Yeah.
Like terrifying. Like I don't even know what I would do in that situation. Because like a normal zombie show would be like, oh whatever, they're just gonna. Last of Us zombies are freaky, dude. They're not fun to look at. They are genuinely scary.
Yeah, they will hunt you down, dude. And episode 4, I feel like was the most beat for beat comparable to the game. I mean, you get the subway scene that is so close to the game. You get the music store scene that is so close to the game. The only thing they added, which is some of the best additions that they've done in this season, probably the best addition they've done in the season, in my opinion, is getting more of Isaac, who is super underutilized in the game. Arguably one of the most probably the most underutilized thing in the game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Is the character of Isaac, and to see his kind of first, not his origins, but his origins as far as the WLF is probably concerned. And the Josh Peck cameo, dude, that took me out of it, man. Seeing him in serious stuff like this and Oppenheimer, it's like, I mean, no disrespect. Like, I like Josh. We all love Drake and Josh. We all grew up on it, right? But like, it's just so hard to take him seriously in his roles. But I do still think that scene was really, really haunting. And seeing how abusive Fedra really was back in the early days. But
yeah, it's so cool to see Isaac and like actually see what's the actor's name?
Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah, it's cool to see him like get some screen time, especially this early too. I feel like he doesn't show up in part 2 until like a good bit later in the game.
Yeah.
And he definitely doesn't get a lot of screen time at all.
Yeah.
So
which is
to actually see some of him in this, and
it's weird to have a character who's like played by a famous actor like that and use him in 2 scenes in the game? I mean, like 3 maybe. It's just I am glad that he is hopefully getting more fleshed out here. And so far I really like what they did with him. I mean, he is brutal in that interrogation scene. And really asserts his dominance over that guy. But and then seeing the one guy he saved from the Fedra betrayal, be just a shell of himself from what he was there as like this young, bright-eyed soldier too. That guy got what he deserved, dude. You can see he looks like gaunt in his face. But I loved episode 4 overall. I thought it was the best episode of this season.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, and then Ellie getting bit.
Yeah.
And then having to like explain to Dina like, no, I'm immune, and Dina's like, I don't know if I believe you.
Why would she?
And then she has no reason to believe. And then she's like, I'm gonna go sleep in this chair real quick, and when I wake up, I'll be totally fine. The water dripping on her, and it looks like she's like twitching.
I was like, Ellie, shut up. Why? Who? Even if you do get woken up by water, why would you? I don't think you would do that. It seems a little extra, but I understand what the reference was supposed to be. Getting us a little jump scare. Oh, maybe she turned. But yeah, obviously in the game it's a little different. Ellie doesn't like let herself get bit because the spores already exist in the game. Their masks break, and Ellie, takes the broken mask so that Dina is safe, and so they walk into the theater. But it's the same kind of end result where Dina's like pointing the gun at her because she's like, you're infected, and they have this moment. But what did you think about the reveal of her being pregnant and all that? And then, because that is pretty different, Ellie in the game gets a little upset, like clearly very like, worried about her. Why would you come
if you knew?
Yeah. And then Dina's like, well, I didn't know when we left. I've just kind of started to figure it out as we went, and it was too late to turn around. But in this one, Ellie's like kind of, I mean, they have a romantic moment, and then a jokey moment about it. It's like, again,
I have no problem with it, honestly.
Yeah,
I really didn't like it. It felt very cutesy and just like like a good feel moment. Whereas like the other part of me says like it feels a little early to just say we're having a baby. Like,
yeah,
y'all have basically just been together for weeks. I don't really know like the time frame.
Yeah, well, and we know Ellie has had feelings for her for way longer too.
Yeah.
And so like I think it's totally believable that they would have a romantic moment in that moment because emotions are so high and all that. The whole jokey like I'm going to be a dad thing, like that is like, again, this version of Ellie is sassier, more, you know, talky, for lack of a better word, more talkative, like I should say. And as long as I differentiate these characters again and remind myself they are different, it's like, yeah, it's a little. There's part of me that thinks it's a little cheesy, a little out of character. But there's part of me that's like, they've done enough work with their dynamic as a relationship, you know, their relationship dynamic, I should say, as a couple, that I believe these connections, and it is not inherently out of character for this version of this character to be reacting like that. But it was different for sure. So
yeah. It was cool. It was still cool though. Yeah. And dude, just seeing the theater, like, and it looks just like the theater, man. Yep.
Another great recreation. Amazing.
Yeah, it's been very good. I can't wait to watch the next episode as soon as, well, probably tomorrow night. As soon as possible, I'm going to be watching it because I'm very, very excited to see what happens at the hospital.
I have a lot to say about last night's episode, so I'm looking forward to you getting to that. And they
good things or bad things. Actually,
I'm not gonna tell you. Why would I tell you that? And I can tell you I am going to have a lot to say about episode 6 based off of what they tease is coming. So,
oh no, he hated it. No,
I didn't say that. Yeah, I assume we'll probably keep doing our 2 episode rate that we've been going on these, but I don't know. We'll see what next week looks like, because as we get closer to the end, if we were to keep doing 2 episodes per time, you know, that would give us 5 and 6, and the last episode is 7. We could just give that one its own conversation. That would probably be for the best. But I feel like we will have a lot to talk about for the next 2.
Oh boy! So. No, I'm scared.
We'll see. But yeah, the show it keeps trucking along. What's your overall thoughts on it at this point? Now that we're more than halfway through, I guess, with this season.
I think I'm still more up on season 1 for sure. I do wish that I had seen Abby like a little bit more, just like
more
just a flash,
because we already see so much more of her in the show than the game at this point.
I know. Well, because we only see her in the first, 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then for 3 and 4, we haven't really seen like any of her, like, which kind of makes me think that maybe they're doing the, one season is one character, one season, like something like that. I don't know. I'm not loving it as much as the first season.
Yeah.
So far.
That's definitely.
I'm loving Dina as much as the first season, though.
Yeah.
Did I mention that I love Dina? I love Dina.
Dina is fantastic. No, I'm right there with you. I mean, like I said, episode 4 was easily my favorite episode of the season so far. I think it was really well done. Yeah. But season 1, I think I said this even after just episode 1 and 2. I feel like the first season was much closer to the game, and basically every change they made was something that I felt was beneficial to the characters and the stories overall, and added to the mythos of that world. Whereas I do not feel that the changes they've made are across the board a benefit. And some of them are good. Some of them I feel neutral about, and some of them I actively kind of dislike. So it's just a bit more of a mixed bag. But this season was always going to be a lot harder to adapt, I think, because there's just so much more going on. So
yeah, I was gonna say I kind of have to like throw them a bone a little bit, because the first game I feel like is relatively easy to adapt. Like, just playing it in your head, like you can just make little points of like where you think episodes would end.
Absolutely.
In the first one, whereas in part 2 it's a little more like kind of up in the air, like you kind of gotta sit in a big room full of people and be like, all right, guys, how are we going to go about this? Because this is, I mean, it's a giant thing to try and tackle.
Yeah. And there's so many more long chunks of gameplay in this one, I feel like, too, that you have to figure out how to fill that space. So, but
yeah, absolutely.
Overall, still positive on it. So,
yeah, definitely still positive.
Episode 4,
definitely positive.
Fantastic, for sure. We're wrapping up today with a fun tier list. I'm excited for this. This is going to be the video game adaptations that we have seen / thought of in the last like 2 hours. There may be some that we're missing, but this was based off of the list that we found. We took the ones that we've seen and are going to stack them up against each other.
Yeah, there's definitely a good bit on here that I know that I need to have seen for sure. Like the Angry Birds movie, of course. Who could forget? I mean, banger film.
You know, I almost watched the Tetris movie as well. I actually heard that one is good.
I thought about it. I heard it was really good. It's got Taron Egerton, right?
That sounds
right. Is that his name?
Sure.
Yeah.
There's someone important in that movie. For sure.
Someone of importance in there. Yeah. But I've actually heard really good things. I've also heard really good things about Cyberpunk. I know I need to watch that. Yes. And of course also Pixels with Adam Sandler is
prime content.
As a video game must.
We gotta add Ready Player One on here.
Oh, wait, true.
No, that's not. So we have The Last of Us, which we talked about this before off air. I think we're just going to do season 1 since season 2 is still ongoing. Super Mario Bros. Movie, the Fallout show, Witcher show, Sonic 1 and 2, Arcane, which I guess we'll do seasons 1 and 2. You haven't seen that, is that right?
I haven't seen Arcane. No, I know I need to.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Mortal Kombat, the new one, and Mortal Kombat, the really old one. I think they're both just called Mortal Kombat, aren't they?
I think so.
Because Annihilation is a sequel to the first, like the old one, and I don't think I've seen that one. If I do, I remember so little about it I couldn't possibly rank it. I already don't remember that much about the old one, but I remember enough that we'll put on here. Detective Pikachu, what is that? Castlevania anime,
Castlevania,
and the crown jewel Until Dawn. So let's just dive into this. Do you want to do it in the order we have it here, or do you want to go?
Yeah, we can just do it in the order that we've got here.
Okay.
I feel like that probably works.
Last of Us season 1, A or S? I mean, let's be honest.
I mean, as far as like video game, like TV show adaptations go, like I feel like this is kind of just the cream of the crop.
Well,
a little bit.
Here's the other question, right? Are we going to be basing this off of what adapts the material the best, or what we just think is the best quality product? Because that's something that people were freaking out about at the Game Awards last year when Fallout beat Arcane for best adaptation, and people were like, well, Fallout, the show, feels like it better represents that universe and or makes me want to go play those games way more than Arcane makes me want to go play League of Legends and or necessarily adapts like that whole world. But Arcane, I feel like, is generally considered the favorite in that. So are we basing this off of just how good we think they are, even if they're not like
I kind of like that, because I mean, it's like with the Mario movie, like there's been no Mario story that has followed the Mario movie story, or especially like the Sonic movies, like those definitely do not follow the normal Sonic stuff. So yeah, just like quality and overall like enjoyment, I guess.
Okay. Then I would say I think it's probably S with especially with what we have here. I do think it's probably one of the best video game adaptations. I know we just said that's not entirely what we're basing it off of, but it is very, very true to the source material. So I think S is good for that. I think that's good.
Yeah. And dude, I think about the Bill episode all the time. Yeah. That's like one of my favorite episodes of television, maybe ever.
I think it's a testament to how so good that adaptation is, that one of the things we think about most from it is something added to it, and so that the argument could be made that it's easier to make something really good if it's already been done before, if they're just recreating it, whereas arguably the best part of it was the original stuff. So S tier for sure, I think.
Yeah, definitely S tier. Mario movie, dude. You've seen the Mario movie,
I
right?
have, yep.
Oh no, you hated it. I can just tell by how you just spoke that you hated
You're throwing
it.
a lot of accusations around tonight, and I don't know how I feel about that.
I just know that you're a Nintendo hater, so I come at you with,
My
with my
legacy
Nintendo
precedes
opinions.
me. My reputation precedes me. But I love Mario.
I love this movie,
But I love
bro.
Mario. Come on, that's like the biggest part of my fandom.
It's like the
for
only
Nintendo.
Nintendo IP that you like.
But yeah, that movie is not that good. You're right. I think it's.
Are you for real?
I think it's fine. I think it's like totally fine. Like it's visually very pretty. You know, I like the color palette, but I just didn't really feel anything watching it. I didn't like that they used the licensed music over a lot of the original stuff.
The licensed music I didn't like. I will admit that.
I thought
no, dude, this movie had me tearing up in the theater, like straight up. I was tearing up. It was one.
at what?
I'm trying to remember the exact scene. Oh, dude, it's when Mario and Peach are like going across, you know, the land or whatever to go wherever they're going. I don't really remember exactly everything about the movie, but there's one specific like Easter egg in there that I'm like, oh my god, like the tender love and care that is put into this with all of these like references to all the old games and even like newer games. Like it had me so choked up that they nailed so much of that stuff and made me feel so much of that like nostalgia. I would put it in S tier.
I can't do S tier. Like I would put it B, but like
then
if you feel really strongly, yeah.
Let's meet in the middle at A. Come on, dude. You don't like peaches. Oh, it's really hard to say.
Peaches. No, I didn't really
it's
like
such
it.
a banger.
I didn't really like that.
It's such a banger. Oh, dude. And Charlie Day is Luigi. Come on.
I mean, yeah, he was the best part of the movie, but like pretty much the rest of the casting. I mean, Jack Black as Bowser's, you know, fine, though I don't really like the original songs. But
that's fair.
Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach, I did not really care for.
Luma.
Yes, that was actually the only bit I did think was funny. Yes, which is like, again, Charlie Day, probably the best part of the movie, and they lock him away for half of it. I mean, he's not even in it that much.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, not really my jam.
Really? He literally does the Seth Rogen laugh, and it's so funny. Dude. I don't know.
Such a low bar.
I love this movie, man. I love this movie. We finished watching this movie. We came home, and someone did the thing where like they somehow posted the entire movie on Twitter,
right.
And I just screen mirrored it onto the TV, and we just watched it again.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I didn't really feel anything about it. It's a pretty movie, but the references didn't do that much for me, and yeah, but if you like, okay, if you like it that much, we can put it in A. I will keep my teardrop in mind. We can move on for now.
You want to die? Don't you even
here's
think about it?
Here's the problem, right? Because I think Fallout is the prime example of an actual A tier show. I think that it is like really good. Like it's not something that like rocked my world enough that I would rock for it to be an S. But I think that it is just a really, really good show overall. Like I really liked Ella Purnell and Walton Goggins. I think it did make me want to go back and play Fallout. It was a really cool way to show that world. Like I didn't really know that much about the Brotherhood of Steel before, but seeing them as this like sort of ragtag kind of messed up group, I thought was really cool. And getting the background of Walton Goggins' character before he became a ghoul, I felt actually genuinely sympathetic for. Getting to see how the people in the vaults live and how different it was from all of them, the intrigue of what was going on there. For me, it was not like as impactful as something needs to be S tier, but it's like really high A tier for me. What did you think?
Okay, I haven't seen Fallout, so
okay.
I'm trusting your judgment on this one.
Yeah.
Fallout's one of those games that like I never got into,
right?
Because you know I've said it before on here. I don't like Bethesda RPGs, but this is one that I heard so many good things about that I want to go back and watch it. But specifically for Walton Goggins, I just know that I love Walton Goggins and just about everything that I've seen him in, which is not much.
He's really good in this, and
it's enough for me to know that I like him.
Not to let my wife influence my decision, but I do think it's a testament to the fact that she has never touched a Fallout before, didn't want to watch the show because she knew nothing about it and didn't think it would be her jam. I said enough about that I'd heard good things about it, and she'd heard enough from other people. She was like, yeah, I guess I'll try it. And when I was a little slow on it at the beginning, like the first couple episodes, she was one who was like, no, I want to keep going. Like, she really likes the show too.
Dang.
As someone who has no association with the source material. So I think that's also a testament that it can appeal to people, whether you're fans of it or not. So
yeah, no, that's cool. I love when that happens.
Yeah,
that's so much fun.
Ella Purnell, man, what a woman. She's right there. Okay, she's going to laugh at me. Okay, she's the icon right there. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't help that it's right in front of me.
The Witcher TV. You have not watched the Witcher TV show, correct?
I watched like half of the first season.
I don't like it very much, man.
I don't either, which is why I only watched half of it.
I like the first season was okay. The second season was maybe a little bit better than the first season, and then we watched about 2 episodes of the third season, and it was just straight up not good. We dropped it so fast.
Yeah, but
like,
it has
we didn't
the
even
song,
think about it.
Toss a coin to your Witcher, which those are not the right notes.
I want to puke.
Yeah, I mean, have you played the Witcher games before?
I haven't touched any of the games. I haven't read any of the books. I don't know anything. I didn't know anything about it until we started the show.
I've played and beaten 3, and I really liked it. It's great. Which is why I gave the show a chance. I hated the time jumps. I had no idea what was going on. I feel like they do a really poor job of placing you where the character is at any given moment in a way that I didn't feel like added to it. It wasn't like, oh, this is all going to come together in some... I mean, maybe it did come together at the end, but it was so poorly implemented that I didn't even get that far.
Yeah.
I really didn't like what they did with Yennefer, with like her, the whole like, I'm a hag witch kind of thing. And like at the beginning, I've not read the books, and so I'm only playing the third game. I don't know how true that is to the source material. So no disrespect, but that portrayal of her I didn't find very endearing or interesting. Henry Cavill's great, and I think there is something fun about his like sort of brooding nature, but it wasn't enough to keep me going. And yeah, I'd put it pretty low, probably like C or D.
Like, yeah, I was gonna say probably C, because I do remember like thinking that it was at least okay. Like, I say that I don't like it very much. Like, I think that it's at least decent, but that third season, like, the fact that we hopped off of it so quickly, especially like the end of season 2, like it's a pretty like massive cliffhanger that they leave you on. And we were really excited to get back to it, and then we started just like, dude, this is just not it at all. But the second season is definitely, I would say, better than the first one, because you get to see Ciri a little bit more, and you know, that kind of relationship develop, which I guess is a big relationship in the game.
Yeah,
I can only assume
it's the core of 3. I mean, their relationship is really
considering that Ciri is the main character of 4.
Yeah. So
from what it seems, at least.
I wish I could have got into it, but not for me.
I will not be going back, especially since they recasted Henry Cavill.
Yeah, it's just
he's Liam Hemsworth now.
Yeah, a company like Netflix who will cancel a show after 1 season that has an insane amount of potential, refusing to let something like this die that I feel like has lost so much goodwill, and they're holding on so tightly that they'll just recast the main protagonist on top. It's like, what do you do? Who was making these decisions?
Yeah.
Like, give your stuff that actually has a chance to blossom into something time to blossom, and let things go that need to die. Like, I don't. Yeah, it's just Netflix.
Yeah, 100%. The Sonic movies. I've only watched 1 and 2. I have not seen 3 yet, even though I've heard that it is easily the best one. You have not seen the Sonic movies, correct?
The only thing I've seen from the Sonic movies is that dance scene from 3 that was all over social media.
I do remember seeing that.
And based off of that alone, I'd like to put these in S+ tier.
No, I think that these movies are good. I think that they progressively get better from what I've heard, and I can kind of see that trajectory, because I definitely think the second one is better than the first one, and everyone says that the third one is just the best one. And I want to watch it so bad, dude. I love Shadow. Shadow is such a freaking corny edgelord.
Yeah.
I love him. But yeah, the first one I would say is, I mean, probably. It's probably, I would say both of these are probably in the B tier for me. Actually, 2 might be like the bottom of the A tier, truthfully. No, it's in the B tier. It's in the B tier.
Well, there was a lot of conviction in that decision that you came to there.
They're definitely not like bad movies by any means. I think that they're quite good. Jim Carrey is, of course, he's great. He's Jim Carrey. James Marsden is the the last person that I would pick for a Sonic sidekick, but it works
Cyclops
somehow.
himself.
And yeah, a lot of like the real world stuff is actually pretty good, pretty cool. Especially some of this, dude. The last fight in the second movie is freaking unreal. Me and Kayla are popping off, man.
Just Sonic sickos, man.
Yeah, I don't even like Sonic. That's the worst part. I don't like almost any Sonic game. I like Sonic 2 and I like Sonic Mania and Sonic Adventure 1. I don't even like Sonic Adventure 2, which is a hot take apparently.
I don't think it is, but don't let the Sonic sickos out there tell you otherwise. Okay.
But yeah, these are super solid, just fun movies. They're nothing to like write home about, but Maybe Sonic 3 is, but we'll
never know.
We'll update whenever I watch Sonic 3. Arcane, I have not watched Arcane, but you have.
You're
watched
putting
Arcane.
me in a real tough position here by not watching this, because in my mind, this is pretty easily the number one adaptation. This is this is S+ tier. Like, it is.
Whoa.
Animation quality is it's the best animation quality of any show I've ever seen. I mean, it's I think the most expensive animated show ever made. There was some crazy stat about how much it costs to make the second season specifically. And you can see, it is stunningly gorgeous, and it has so much sauce, so much style. I care so much about the characters. The one negative thing I'll say about it is that the ending of the final season has a little bit, there's a lot to tie together, and I think it still comes together, but there's some things that might feel a little rushed, or I would have liked to seen a little bit more from certain characters. But like, that's such a small critique on this grand scheme of how well done I think this show is. And
I totally thought you were gonna say the one critique that you have is that Imagine Dragons is in the show.
I'm gonna spoil this because no one's gonna care. They're literally in the show. Like, I know. Okay, I didn't know you were referencing just the fact that like they do the theme song. No, the band itself is animated in the first season. Whatever. This is gonna make me lose some credentials. Whatever. I don't care. I think Imagine Dragons is overhated. All right, they're not as bad as the internet wants to make you think they are. Okay, people like the theme song. Okay, they're just not brave enough to go as far as I just went. Okay.
Chris, oh man, we might have to have a conversation after this about.
We'll see that for a different tier list. We'll see that for a different tier list. But no, this show is peak. I mean, it's incredible. I don't want to get into spoilers or anything, since obviously you haven't seen it. We don't do spoilers for any of this stuff anyway. But I think, as someone again who didn't care at all about League of Legends, it's extra credit to them that I care so much about this adaptation of a show whose source material means nothing to me, and I still care about it as if it was an original project more than I do a lot of other things that I come in with affinity for already. And I think it's way more impressive than The Last of Us. I still love The Last of Us, but what this does is much more ambitious and really, really well done, in my opinion.
I can't wait to watch it. This is one that has been on my list for a very, very long time. Did you see the trailer for like the new League show or League shows? I think there might actually be 2.
Yeah, I know they are doing other projects. They were like, we're done with Arcane, but we're going to do other things, or something
Dude,
like
the trailer
that.
for one of them, I don't remember which one it was, but I've never been so on board with something like in my life. It looks so insanely cool.
Yeah, it's such a cool world. It's a testament to how terrible the image is of League that I still don't want to go play that even after having been so invested.
I played League for like a year, and it was the worst year.
And there was a correlation there. It's
maybe that's why I haven't watched the show yet.
I can't recommend it enough. It's the gold standard, in my opinion. And again, just to reference Mare, who watched the stuff with me, also clearly has no attachment to League or anything Riot related. She was like, she really liked Fallout. She was obsessed with Arcane, dude. Like, she has watched it multiple times since. She tries to get all of her coworkers to watch it. It has a far-reaching net for people. So,
wow, dang, that's super cool. That's so sick. I know I said it before with, I think it was Fallout, but like I love when that happens so much. Like whenever I show Kayla something, I'm like, this is from something that I really like, but I promise that you'll like it.
Yeah.
And most of the time she does. Sometimes she doesn't. I don't remember exactly what that was with. But
I flex on Mare all the time. I'm like, I recommend so many things to you, and I just want to say my track record almost spotless. There are a couple of things we've fallen off of, but like 99% of the time, if I look, we both knew what we were getting into when we signed up for Until Dawn. Okay, I never promised it was going to be good. I just said let's give it a shot. But no, it is always nice when you put yourself out there with a recommendation and it comes through. And arguably, they like it more than you even did. Not even arguably.
Yeah,
I love that show, but she was obsessed with that show. So,
all right, sir. On to Mortal Kombat. Do you want to do the most recent one first, or do you want to do the old school one first?
We can do. These are going to be tough, man, because I haven't seen the old one in so long, and the new one, I've gotten like gaslit into thinking it's worse than I thought it was when I saw it, because it came out during COVID. It was like one of the first movies that, instead of getting a theatrical release, they released for free on Max or HBO Max or whatever it was then, if you had your subscription, because they couldn't release it in theaters. And I really liked, we'll talk about the new one first then. I really liked it. I thought the action was really good. It was not like so impactful that I remember a lot about it or that I thought it was really well done, but it was good. Like, I would probably put it in C tier. Not having seen like the Sonic movies, I would put it above Witcher, because it's obviously much less of a commitment to watch a movie than a show, but I did not get to the end of Mortal Kombat and think, man, I wish I hadn't finished this. Whereas with Witcher, I dropped it because I did not want to watch it anymore. So I just think the action in it was solid. Like, I think there's some questionable story things and all that in there, and probably some questionable performances that I'm overlooking or forgetting, but I think at the end of the day, that's not necessarily what I'm going to a Mortal Kombat movie for. And I thought that some of the fights, like, I do still remember the last fight being really cool and the opening being really cool. There's probably a lot of fluff in between. There is a lot of fluff in between, narratively. Yeah, there are some things I remember narratively, like with the main character being like an original character. I was like, why are you doing this? This is so stupid.
The main character is an original character?
I'm almost positive, yeah.
What?
So, and
it
was a weird choice.
Is it not just Scorpion? Is Scorpion not the main character of Mortal Kombat?
No. He's like one of the antagonists.
Really?
So, yeah.
Who would you say is the main character of Mortal Kombat?
Of the games?
Is that even,
or the movie?
Yeah.
Of the games?
Of the games.
It's usually either Johnny Cage or Liu Kang.
Really?
Yeah. Which they're bringing Carl Urban in for the role of Johnny Cage in the new game, or in the new movie.
I did see that. I do think that's probably a pretty good casting.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna see the sequel. Like, it wasn't like this was so bad I don't even want to see more. I was like, it was good enough, and I'm like interested enough in what's happening that I'll go back. I'll give it another shot. So,
okay.
But not a ringing endorsement. The old one, it's like, man, how do you compare that to Arcane, man? They're just like so worlds apart. But like, I do think when you look back at video game adaptations that used to be, like, this was pretty high up there. Like, this was not like a fantastic movie, but was considered a fantastic adaptation comparatively. I think.
Was it really?
I think so. I mean, if you look at like
I don't know anything about it. I didn't even know that there was an old
I'm
one.
pretty sure if you go back and look at the like Metacritic for the old, like for video game adaptations, that they will.
Well, leaked. Leaked.
No, did I just see that? We put something on the doc for this week's run of show. I specifically said no one will ever see.
No one will ever see this.
Wow, not even trying to hide it. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that the old movie was one of the best, but it's like, I don't know, it's probably bottom of C. Like, it's corny old like 90s action movie. Like,
I was about to say, is this like 80s, 90s, probably? Or, oh yeah, it would have to be
it's
like
90s. Yeah. I definitely probably
Like
would put
above
him Witcher, but at some point we're gonna have to. Should we just drop Witcher to D tier? I don't.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it.
All right, or even in and out. I think that's fine. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, this is really even. Look at this.
Yep.
It's about to be just a straight line all the way.
We're on
down.
track too. At least one of these I know is gonna fill out that bottom. So,
For sure.
but next up is Detective Pikachu. We've both seen this, right?
Yeah, I love this movie.
I think it's really good. Yeah, I saw it in theaters.
It's fun. It's like, it doesn't take itself like too seriously or anything. Like, it's just a fun time where it, Ryan Reynolds is Pikachu.
Yep.
You know, that it's just, and all of the Pokemon are extremely hyper realistic. Like, it's
weird.
So off-putting.
But like, I liked it at the time. But yeah, looking back and I'm
I
like,
did too.
y'all are creepy.
For sure.
If you want my take,
I think the overall story,
I would,
Yeah.
I would put this, if this was my list, but it's our list, and I love that for us. I would put Mario in B, and I would put this in bottom of A. But as it is, I don't know if it. I would maybe put it top of B, but it's hard for me to judge because I haven't seen Sonic, right? So yeah. What do you think? Do you think it's better than the Sonic movies or not?
that's a really tough call. That's a really tough call. I do think it is probably better than the Sonic movies. I'm not sure if it's on the same level as the Mario movie. Maybe no, it's not. It's not for me at least.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine putting it in the B tier above the Sonic movies.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah. I think, oh dude, the final fight, like the final, battle or whatever.
Yeah.
And Detective Pikachu's so good, man. It's so good with Mewtwo and all that. Oh my god, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it truly is amazing. I'm gonna watch it tonight. Actually, I haven't seen it since I saw it in theaters.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I was like, there's a lot I don't remember about it, which is why I'm not like going to bat for it more. But I do remember seeing it. Like, yeah, this was good.
I forget all the time that Cassie Lang, like Ant-Man's daughter, is like one of the main characters in this movie.
I forget about that too. I remember that one kid from Jurassic World. He's like the Detective Pikachu partner. I remember him. Yeah. I mean,
that's the other thing too. It's just like a funny movie. Yeah. Like, it's funny and it's just fun. It's just like a good, like, little lighthearted time. You're trying to solve a little mystery with a kind of crazy like twist to end.
Yeah.
I don't remember what exactly the twist was, but I very vaguely remember it, and I remember the actor who the twist involved was like a semi-recognizable actor. But yeah. It's just a good fun time.
Yes, I remember. That was weird. What a weird movie.
It is a little weird. It's a little,
but like in
weird,
a charming way, I think.
Yeah, it's strange but fun.
Yeah,
for sure. Until Dawn. Is it in the F tier?
It's not F tier. No,
it's not F tier.
It's not egregious enough to be F. I don't think. Like I said, like it wasn't like actively bad. It was just boring. I think. Like, I think to be F tier, you have to do things that I think are like,
you have to like actively.
Yes. You have to do things that like I think are poorly executed, poorly implemented, and like there are some things that like definitely could have been better, but it's more just like everything is just kind of mid for that one.
So you think this movie is better than Captain America: Brave New World?
I think so. Yeah.
I'm not attacking.
I think it is. I think it is actually. Yeah. I think I would put it above Brave New World. because because there's at least like I said, there's an argument that it's at least fine. I don't agree with the arguments that I've heard that defend Brave New World. I've not heard anything that people have said that is like, oh no, I'm missing something here. Whereas like Until Dawn, it's like it is a genre that I feel like you can be a little bit kinder to because the bar is lower for a lot of them, right? Like for a lot of horror stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll give it to you.
Part of me, should it go above Witcher? I mean, you probably like Witcher more because
I would probably like Witcher more than I like this movie.
Yeah,
almost certainly.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
And then last but not least, Castlevania, the anime. We have only just started the recent Castlevania, like the new one that just came out. There's Castlevania Nocturne.
I was gonna say there's
Richter in it.
Technically two. They treat those as two separate things, don't they?
Yeah, they're two separate things. So this is just like the OG Castlevania one that came out. I think it came out in like 2015 or 16.
There's no way it's that old, right?
It was a while ago. 2015 is probably a little, but maybe like 2017.
2017, yeah. July 7th, 2017 is what Google says.
Yeah. God dang it. Again. I'm taking
bro.
I keep leaking the doc.
You're gonna get his canceled.
I just closed the tab. I just closed the tab out. I just close it out. I have only watched so many anime in my life, right? I've watched
These of us are big anime boys.
Yeah. I'm not for someone who loves Japanese RPGs as much as I do. I have not watched a ton of anime.
It's so funny how similar you and I are, man. It's so funny. Anyway.
I've watched this and I've watched Attack on Titan. And I think that's it. And Attack on Titan being like one of the most like world-renowned, like recognizable animes of all time. I liked this anime like infinitely more.
Wow.
To me, like this is like the gold standard for anime in my head. Like you'd have to find a really, really, really good show or anime to take this off of the pedestal that I have it on. This is just one of my favorite shows that I maybe have ever seen.
Wow.
It's very, very good.
Sounds like S tier talk to me.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the S tier for this one.
Scroll up a little bit. I can't see the S tier.
Oh yeah. Here, there we go. Yeah, the fights are so good. The characters are amazing. Alucard is he's hot, man. God, he's hot.
Say it. Move over, Eliper, now. We got Alucard here. Okay? You don't have a chance.
Alucard is freaking awesome. And I'm pretty sure that this is set like it's set a good bit in the future from like normal Castlevanias. I'm like 90% sure. Like after all of the Belmonts have like died out and stuff, and Trevor Belmont is like the only Belmont left or something like that.
It's a series I know embarrassingly little about for how influential it is and how much I think I would like them if I played them. But yeah, I only watched like the first episode and I really liked what I saw. It was just one of those ones where I fell off because I don't watch that much TV. And especially at the time it came out, I really didn't watch that much TV. I watch way more now. Yeah. But it's a testament, again, I think, to the fact that even now I still hear people talking about it. And she has even heard people say, like, you should go back and watch this. At the point we've been recently talking about going and watching it. So I think that it stood the test of time as well.
Yeah, I would recommend this to anyone who has ever even like slightly enjoyed anime or just good stories, because the story is excellent and it is all so worth it for like the finale. Like the final fight of the show is just so unbelievably cool. Like almost had me like choked up just based on like how sick it was. Like with that fight scene in particular, but like a lot of the fight scenes in the show are just amazing. And God, the story and the I could keep going.
But you put it below
so many things about it.
You put it below Last of Us.
I'm really trying to think if I would put it below Last of Us. I honestly don't think that I would put it below Last of Us. Actually, in my head, this is above Last of Us for me.
Wow. So now we have the two, 1 and 2 are shows that only one of us have seen, so we can't really compare them. That's tough. We've never had that happen
It's better
yet,
than
actually.
Arcane. No, I'm just kidding. I definitely, I don't think there's any way that it's better than Arcane.
Well, the only way to know is for you to watch Arcane and then report back. So, and I can watch Castlevania and report back.
Ooh, this is a great idea. We should do
this. That'd be fun.
I'm gonna watch the Mario movie again and report back, and we'll just bump that to the top of the S tier.
You can pay me to watch that movie. Yeah. I'm just kidding. I think it's good, somewhere between fine and good. It would not be A tier for me, but B tier. It wouldn't be any lower than B tier either, for sure. But all right, well, that brings our list to a close for now. I know we'll update. I'm going to watch Cyberpunk Edgerunners at some point. I am making that my personal mission, and I want to watch the Tetris movie. I will also watch the Uncharted movie eventually, one day when I'm really bored. I did watch the ending of the most recent Tomb Raider movie at the gym on a TV with no audio. If we want to toss that up there, I think that's all I needed to see. I wasn't sold, but no.
I know that I've seen some of these Resident Evil movies, and they're like, any one of them that I've seen, I've probably seen 2 or 3 of them just like in passing. They would come on like TNT or like, you know, some of those crappy like cable TV shows or TV channels all the time, and they're like truly awful movies. Like, they're so bad.
Oh my god! I know we're trying to wrap things up, dude. We missed one that I have seen that I actually genuinely would like to add if you can find it. I want to add the Persona 4 anime.
Oh, true. Let me not leak the doc again and go back to our other here. Yeah. Talk about the Persona 4 anime.
So the Persona 4 anime is like a 20-something episode miniseries, I guess you would call it, one season of TV that is just a straight up adaptation of Persona 4 original. It doesn't have the content for Golden. There is a P4 Golden anime that tries to adapt the entire game, but mostly focusing on the content they added for Golden. And I've heard it is just absolutely terrible because it's half the length and you're trying to tell an even longer version of that same story. So this is not for P4 Golden. This is just for P4 the animation, but it is hilarious, dude. It's like, it has all the voice actors from the game. And it was like one of those examples of, okay, Mare is never, ever going to play a Persona game, right? That is not going to happen. But she hears me talk about it enough that this was a way for her to experience the story together, and we went through the whole thing and she really liked it. I keep referencing Mare. This is my tier list, guys, okay? She's not behind the camera telling me where she put things. Look, I love my wife, I'm sorry. No, but I think this, I'd actually already seen it once myself and watched it again with her, and we both really liked it. I think it's hilarious, like weirdly funny. You know, the protagonist is silent in the game, other than what you as the character choose for dialogue options. But he has so much personality in this, and is just.
Wait, he's actually like voiced?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
And is in the game?
Yeah.
Or in the
show. In the show.
Yeah.
And it just adds this whole other layer because you care so much more about him because he's his own character. But it's got all the original English voice actors in the dub, which is what I watched. I think the action is really cool, and it does a really good job of telling the original story, including like not the full like 10 hangout arc of all the social links, obviously, but touches on all of those in a really satisfying way. Yeah, so
that's super cool.
I think it's great. It's like A tier for me, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah.
I would put it above the Mario movie, if I'm being honest, but I would put it below Fallout because I think Fallout's a little bit more ambitious, but this is tough because I know you really like the Mario movie and you haven't seen this, obviously. So
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt just because I know how much I love Persona 4.
Yeah.
Considering it's the only Persona game that I truly like.
I recommend it. I think you can rent it on Prime.
Oh, really?
I got it as a gift, like the literal DVD box set, and so that's how I watch it. But yeah, there's also the P3 movie and the P5 animation, and I've heard I think good things about the P3 movie. I haven't actually heard that much about it. It's like split into 3 movies or something like that, and then the P5 animation I've heard is actually not that good. But
oh no.
Yeah, I really like this. So, all right,
very cool.
That I think wraps it up. Do you want to bring us home and tell the audio listeners what the final results are?
Yeah, final results of video game adaptations. In the D tier, nothing in the F tier. Nothing that bad. But something might go there down the line.
The hilarious thing
is to update this.
There are obviously F tier video game adaptations. I just think we've avoided them because we know that classically video game adaptations are trash, and so it's easy to.
We tried to pick
push them off.
The better of the evils.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the very bottom, our last place finisher, Until Dawn, the movie.
I can see myself getting a little higher on that movie as time goes on. If I just look at it as like, this is just a it will never be more than mediocre by any means. But like, yeah. Anyway, I wanted to like it, even though I knew it was gonna be bad. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
No, you're good. You're good. So yeah, at the bottom, Until Dawn. At the top, The Witcher season 1 and 2, and the first 2 episodes of season 3. And then in the C tier. This is the.
Can we rename it to the K tier?
MK tier
instead of C, because they spell everything with K's instead.
Oh, yeah, that actually is pretty good. There we go. In the K tier, we at the bottom we have OG Mortal Kombat movie and the new Mortal Kombat movie. That was in 2020. In the B tier at the bottom, Sonic the Hedgehog 1, after that Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and at the top Detective Pikachu. In the A tier at the bottom, the Super Mario Brothers movie. After that, go watch it again. It's not as bad as you remember.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not going to use my teardrop. I will let you have it there. I will leave it there.
I was about to say, you better watch it over there, bub.
I haven't used them in a while. That's all I'm saying. For the content, I should do it for the content, but I won't.
You would hurt my feelings greatly if all of my platformer and Nintendo movies were just all in the B tier.
Change that to the P tier, the platformer tier. That's so funny. See, the content rights. That's it. I'm just kidding.
So yeah, the bottom of A tier is the Super Mario Brothers movie, then the Persona 4 anime and Fallout up at the top, and then in the S tier at the bottom, The Last of Us, just season 1, not season 2 yet. We'll come back for season 2.
I don't think season 2 is gonna be S tier.
Yeah, I don't think so either. After The Last of Us, season 1 is Castlevania, the anime, and up at the very tippy top, Arcane.
Oh, the misery! Everybody wants to be my enemy.
I hate them. There was a point in time that I didn't hate them. I will say, I'm gonna sound like a hipster. Okay,
I'm ready.
I listened to Imagine Dragons before Radioactive got big. They played on Sirius XM radio all the time, and It's Time was a big one that would play on there a lot. I was like,
you don't even sound like a hipster. You sound like an old man referencing Sirius XM radio.
Shut up, dude. This was high school. Maybe I am old. Oh shit. Maybe I am.
I think we both are, man. I hate to say it.
But I listened to that EP and the album, and I was like, maybe this isn't bad. And then it got out of control, man. It got out of there. Everywhere I turned my ears, they were there.
But like, this is a separate conversation. I know we're wrapping things up, but does something being overplayed dilute the quality of it? You can personally like it less, right, because of that. But like, it doesn't change
definitely not
what it actually is.
To be fair, I'm gonna sound like such a snobby asshole if I keep going. I'm just gonna shut up.
We need to do a tier list of every Imagine Dragons album. Can you imagine, bro?
If you make me listen to all those albums, I stopped after the second one. I made it halfway through the second one. I was like, man, this joke is not it.
I do want to do more music stuff at some point. Just a fun, another peek behind the curtain for everybody. I'll leave you with this last tidbit of the day. We have a whole list of potential tier lists that we can do if we ever need to pull one last minute. And I think the only music one that we have is ranking the songs from Sabrina Carpenter's latest album. So I am still down to do that at some point. All right.
We could potentially, if we ever get on like a music talk. We've yet to talk about any music on the pod yet.
We should. I know you're like the music junkie. Like, it's funny because like I minored in music in college, but like I don't listen to music like you do, you know, modern music and all that stuff. You're much better about keeping up with what's relevant.
I probably had something this week to talk about. One of my favorite bands ever, like of all time, top 5 band, Arcade Fire. They're like a big like indie group. Released like their 7th or 8th album, and bro, it stinks.
Oh, that's where I thought this was going. I thought you were like, one of my favorite albums of all time. They're like on their 7th or 8th. They're seasoned vets. No, but they're washed.
It's so terrible.
Oh no,
they must be, dude. And I just saw them, and they played a lot of these songs live. I was like, you know what? Maybe this album isn't gonna be that bad. No, it's freaking bad. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting so sidetracked.
No, it's all good. We have content for years to come, as you can hear. But for today, we're gonna end it there. Thank you all so much for listening to the 10th episode of the Teardrop Pod. We'll be back. One day we'll have a regular schedule. You uploaded this on Wednesday to YouTube, and I didn't realize that I should upload it to audio in time, so it went up on audio like on Friday, I think. So as usual, the reminder is please follow us on everything, you know, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube, and that way you will get it as soon as possible. And I'm going to try and do a better job of promoting it on socials again as well. But that's episode 10 in the books. Any last words, Andrew?
Nope, that's it. Thanks for watching and listening, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.